She was not his responsibility. If she came within it, unprotected, he felt obliged to watch over her, to keep her safe. He should have known better than to try to fight the urge. Of all the females he knew, she was unquestionably the most difficult, not least because she was also the most intelligent. Yet here he was, trudging after her despite his certain reception. He wasn't at all sure what that said of his intelligence. Women. He'd spent the entire drive west considering them. His great-aunt Clara had recently died and left him her house in Somerset. The inheritance had served as a catalyst, forcing him to review his life, to rethink his direction. Yet his unsettled state had a more fundamental genesis. He'd finally realized what it was that gave his older cousins and his sister's husbands their purpose in life. The purpose he lacked. Family. Their own branch of it, their own children, their own wife. Such things had never seemed critical before. Now they loomed as vital to his life, to his satisfaction with his lot. A scion of a wealthy, well-born family, he had a comfortable lot in life. Yet what worth comfort against the lack of achievement he now felt so acutely? It wasn't his ability to achieve that was in question, not in his mind, nor he'd warrant in any other, but the goal, the need, the reason. These were the necessities he lacked. Crucial necessities for a satisfying life for such as he. Great-aunt Clara's legacy had been the final prod. What was he to do with a rambling country house, if not live in it? He needed to get himself a wife and start building the family he required to give his life its true direction. He hadn't accepted the notion meekly. For the past 10 years, his life had been well run, well ordered, with females intruding in only 2 arenas, both entirely under his control. With countless discreet liaisons behind him, he was a past master at managing, seducing, enjoying, and ultimately disengaging from the well-born matrons with whom he habitually dallied. Other than that, the only females he consorted with were those of his own family. Admittedly, within the family they ruled, but as that had always been the case, he never felt constrained or challenged by the fact. One simply dealt with it as necessary. With his active interest in the Cynster investment business, together with the distractions of tonish society, with his sexual conquests and the customary family gatherings to season the whole, his life had been pleasantly full. He'd never seen the need to linger at those balls and parties graced by marriageable young ladies, which now left him in the unenviable position of wanting a wife and not having any useful avenue through which to acquire one, not without setting off alarm bells that would resonate throughout the ton. If he was foolish enough to start attending the balls and parties, the fond mammas would instantly perceive he was on the lookout for a bride, and lay siege. He was the last unmarried male Cynster of his generation. Stepping up to the top of the earthworks' outer wall, he paused. The land fell away in a shallow sweep. The path continued to the left, leading to a squat, covered lookout set into the earth wall some 50 yards on. The view was magnificent. Sunshine winked on the distant sea. The silhouette of the Isle of Wight was distinguishable through a soft summer haze. He'd seen the view before. He turned to the lookout, and the female presently in it. She was standing at the railing, gazing out to sea. From her stance and stillness, he assumed she hadn't seen him. Lips setting, he walked on. He wouldn't need to give any reason for joining her. For the past decade, he'd treated her with the same insistent protectiveness he applied to all the females of his family. Doubtless it was her relationship, the fact that she was his brother-in-law Luke's sister, that dictated how he felt about her, despite the lack of blood ties. To his mind, Portia Ashford was family, his to protect. That much, at least, was unarguable. What tortuous logic had prompted the gods to decree that a woman needed a man to conceive? Portia stifled a disgusted humph. That was the crux of the dilemma now facing her. Unfortunately, there was no point debating the issue. The gods had so decreed, and there was nothing she could do about it, other than find a way around the problem. The thought increased her irritation, largely